Hi guys, today I want to talk to you about the quick ticket into IT, the quick ticket into software development. So I know a lot of people promise this kind of thing, but this is the niche skill strategy. Now there are a lot of companies out there that use development platforms to develop their applications. That's because they can't hire an entire software development team to do it from the ground up in something like Java. Right? So I did this with Servicenow, and although I did have a degree to do it, there are certainly people that do this without having a degree at all. Now there's a lot more out there than just Servicenow. There are things like Sharepoint, one I've heard of is Denodo. So what you basically do here is you get skills with a platform. These platforms are not normally things you think about, like Android Studio, something you'd like to play around with. These are things that companies use, and while you can play around with them on your own, people don't tend to do it because you generally need a company full of people to actually do it. Now you can still do it on your own and just make a fake imaginary company, but this is not something that most CS students tend to play around with. They tend to be more on the Android Studio, AI stuff, looking at those kinds of things. So if you develop skills in these particular platforms, it can really help you to get a leg up on them because now you've actually worked on the exact thing they need you to work on. Now, there's a caveat to this that these platforms do use mainstream technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, maybe even a JavaScript framework is very common. C# is another one I see all the time. Now, there are things like Unity that are sort of like this, but everybody's doing Unity. There are a lot less exciting things that companies need that they can't find qualified people for, or people that have worked in them before, and they need those people right now. So if you want to get your foot in the door and get yourself into software development, get yourself into IT, you can look at one of these. So let's go to the computer and we can talk a little bit more about this. Okay, so this is Servicenow. This is the one that I work in, and to do this, you're going to take these free classes online, and then you're going to do certifications. You're going to be given a free instance in Servicenow, which is in the cloud, that they will give to you and allow you to work with. This is how you can kind of build your experience and do some things. The certifications do run a pretty penny, but not as much as a college class these days. This one actually comes with a 3-day class. I think you can just do the certification test for less than this, probably like around 800 to 1,000. Now, I will tell you, Servicenow, you're going to need to know like JavaScript. Probably AngularJS would be a really good thing to know for Servicenow development, so you can do service portal stuff. And there's a lot of technologies you can see in here that it's talking about you knowing. So let's move on. You got SharePoint, right? This is a little 5 steps to getting started with SharePoint development. They've got the Microsoft Virtual Academy, probably something pretty similar. They want you to know C#, so you can learn C# on your own. That's on the internet. HTML, CSS, same thing on the internet. And by the way, same for Servicenow. You're going to need to know those two for Servicenow. You can go on the internet, go on YouTube. You can learn those yourself without putting down 1 penny. Now, SharePoint certifications are not so expensive. I mean, depending on what your bank account looks like. Looks like they're in the low hundreds. This is another one called Denodo. This is a real niche skill, but there are companies that are using this, and if you can get your foot in the door by learning this stuff and making a good impression, you can definitely do it. You can see technologies that you might need to know. Again, I see, I think up here, SQL. That's something you can learn on your own. You can install a SQL server, MySQL, on your computer, and you can work with it. You can actually learn how to use it. There are videos on YouTube that will teach you how to work with that database with a number of technologies. Here's data sources, might be JSON, Salesforce, that's what we're going to talk about, Excel, LDAP. So LDAP might be a little hard for you to do on your own, but Excel, obviously, probably not, right? Salesforce, well, we'll get into that. And then JSON, that's just actually a way of encoding things, basically. You can totally learn that on your own. So again, I'm not a Denodo developer. I don't want to go too far into it. This is Salesforce here that I was talking about before. Salesforce is similar to ServiceNow. It's one of those platforms. I think it's cloud. I'm not 100% sure. Pretty sure though. And you can see there's some coding in there that you're going to have to learn, and they've got classes on that. And there are certifications here. They can say you should pass that. And we can actually look at how much that costs. There are several different certifications. Some are in the low hundreds, some go up to 6,000, so that's a little bit on the pricey side, right? But again, these are things you're going to have to research on your own, and these are just examples of things that you could get into. This is not a comprehensive list. You really need to talk to people that work in IT. As far as if you talk to me, these are the ones I'm mentioning because they're the ones I've heard of. Some of the ones we use where I work and can get you hired. So WordPress is a little bit more of an open-ended one. It's a lot more widely used than the other ones I've covered, but with WordPress, you basically make websites using HTML, CSS, and PHP, and there are a lot of pre-made plugins and things like that you can use. Now, a lot of people give flack to WordPress developers. Don't listen to those people. They're idiots. So this is a whole little thing that WordPress has to get you into learning WordPress, and I can tell you right now, you can get a job in WordPress development. It might not start paying you too well, but you can keep working at that and you can make more and more money, especially if you go into something like SEO, and that's a subject for another video. So let's look at kind of some jobs for these things. Well, here's ServiceNow, right? Here's something, and looks like this is anywhere. This is a remote job, I think. But here's the locations and then the remote option. And you can see the job description, the needs, and there aren't really a whole lot of requirements. They're not all like that, right? So some of these, this one's 1 to 2 years experience. You can probably, if you get like a certification, you can probably pass that off, because I do see they do want those certifications, right? And these jobs do pay quite well. Let me see if I can actually find one that lists the, oh, here we go. So you can see ServiceNow developers get paid pretty well. And that is what I do right now. You're probably going to start off on the lower end, but hey, look at these lower ends. They're not too bad, right? So let's look at SharePoint. Again, I don't know much about SharePoint. Here's your, what you could earn with it. Here are some qualifications on this job application. You can see on the left side, there's a lot of them. And, HTML, CSS, JS, jQuery, Angular, JS, Bootstrap. These are all things you can learn on your own, right? You can learn that watching YouTube videos from home. So, yeah, not a big deal. Some of this other stuff, yeah, you might have to take the SharePoint classes. Again, still not costing you any money. Certification might cost a little bit more, right? Denoto, again, this one I can't find as much on. It's a very, very niche thing. You'd have to do a lot of research before going into this, but it's something you could consider. And then Salesforce right here. This one's pretty vague. Now, I don't want to make it just look like all these are open for everybody, right? Well, actually, this one looks like it might be too. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, so this one, yeah, so this one wants an associate's and bachelor's degree, and that's something that you're going to have to do, right? You're going to have to find the ones that fit your skill set. Now, what you're seeing me do here is I've searched for junior, right, before developer, and you can totally do that. Another strategy is, instead of going for a developer role, look for an admin role, because they tend to require less. I just tend to look for developer roles because, that's what I'm into, and I really feel like that's really getting your foot in the door. But you can see basic knowledge like JavaScript and Node.js. These are things that you're going to need, and these are basic skills that you can do on your own. I do advocate for college, but if it's not the way you want to go, then there are other ways. And what I can say is, if you have, say, a degree in business, you can really make this work, because a lot of these things are used intercompany, and knowledge in business can come in handy. And you might even find yourself in a business analyst role versus, say, a developer or admin role. And that's another one to look for, is business analyst for ServiceNow, business analyst for SharePoint, that kind of thing, because those are also open things. So let's look at WordPress. I think this is one I found that basically just says the types of technologies that you would need to know. And these are going to be different for every job, because every company does things differently, right? So again, these are things you'd have to develop. It's not easy to understand what you want to do. You have to do your research. I can't really do it for you, because you have to find your own path. But what I'm trying to tell you here is, you can go online and learn stuff for free. If you want to get into IT or software development and you don't want to put down a lot of money, get yourself into college, start taking loans, this is a great way to go. You can start learning stuff here, and you can get a certain level of experience. You get to the point where you're ready for a certification, and you decide to shell out the $300 for a certain certification, and you get it, and then maybe you got something behind your belt and start applying for things. Hey, it can't hurt to apply. And you never know, someone might call you, and if you can make a good impression, you can get into something like this. You really can. All right, guys, so that's it. I know that this isn't a perfect, easy thing to do, but this is a way that wherever you are in your career, you can get yourself into IT. Now, this video is meant for a lot of different people. The first would be the people that would have the hardest time with this. The people that have no experience, just a high school diploma, and they want to get themselves into IT. Now, I am not going to say this is a surefire thing for you if that's your situation. You're going to have a very uphill battle if that's your case, right? But if, say you have a degree in business or something not really that related to IT, this is a very viable path for you. And if you have even like say an engineering degree, something like that, even more viable then. Let's say you have no degree, but you have experience in business in one way or another. This is a viable path for you and you can make it work. Now, none of these things, I understand none of these things are easy. There's a lot of things to learn, but my point is that they can be learned online, and most of them don't cost any money, other than maybe if you decide to use Udemy videos, which tend to be very cheap. And I do recommend if you find ones that are on the specific things that you develop in those platforms, it might be worth your time. So I hope this has helped you guys. If you have questions, please put them down below. If you like this video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, you're free to give it a dislike, but please also tell me why you didn't like it. I think just looking at it myself, there are a few reasons I could criticize it. I'm not trying to make it look like it's super easy to get in and there's just some like golden ticket to getting in, just this easy thing you can do that'll get you into IT, because it's not that way. This is just one path, right? If you really do like this channel, subscribe to it please down below, and have a good day.